Good friggin' morning from New England, folks, and welcome back to episode 16 of the So New England podcast. I am your host, Ian Brownhill, joined by my co-host, Robert Travisano, all things Life's Better New England in production, Vincent Guarneri, and we've got a very, very special event for you today. This is going to be a unique episode for episode 16. We are in Adamsville, Rhode Island, North Scituate, Burrillville. We are in the boondocks of Rhode Island, the northwest corner, and we are at Addyville East Farms for the Matt Light Foundation, and it is their 20th anniversary. Some super fun, exciting stuff.
20 years.
So today, there's going to be a lot going on. We apologize in advance. There is some gunshots going off in the back. There's going to be some bang, bang noise. But the fun thing about today is we're going to have some amazing guests on, people from the demographical region of New England and from afar who are here helping support the Matt Light Foundation, including former Patriots players. And we are going to have just a multitude of guests talking about their experience, their love, and just what they enjoy about the New England region, because we're the So New England podcast. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
So without further ado, stay tuned. We'll let you guys know who we got on. And yeah, this is going to be really fun.
We're going to have so much fun today. We can't wait.
All right, let's do it. All right, folks. So we're sitting down here with the one and only Matt Castle. Obviously, you guys know him as an amazing former Patriots football player, but we're going to try and get your perspective here on what you think or what your experience was like living here in New England, the lifestyle, dealing with the people, the traffic, the foods.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in California, so the traffic, not too bad. The food was amazing. The people and the fans were incredible. Now, I will say this. You have to prepare yourself because you have to earn their trust and earn their loyalty. But once you do, it's amazing to come back here and year in, year out when I come back here for different events and stuff like that, to see people and come up and just be like, hey, man, I remember that season, this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's just cool to see how they embrace their athletes. Like I said, though, you better earn that, right? You better earn 100%. That, because otherwise, I mean, I remember one time after a game, and it was early in the season, I went to try to just clear my head, get away. I went and watched some high school football, and this little kid comes up to me. He must have been 11 years old, and he goes, hey, Castle, you got to throw the ball to Randy Moss more. And I'm like, all right, kid, I got it.
Right? That right there is why we call this podcast So New England, because that is so on par for what we do.
Exactly. The other thing that I love about New England people, and it's different from other, because I've lived in the South, and I've lived in, Tennessee, Kansas City, Minnesota, and everywhere else, but they're real, right? They tell you how they feel. And the honesty sometimes it's raw and it might hurt your feelings a little bit, but at the same time, you know where you stand. They don't hold their punches, and that's what I always respected about people up here.
That's awesome. So coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, what did you think about our food? Did you have a lot of like clam cakes and chowder in California growing up?
No, I definitely did not. I was more of a sushi guy out there. You get a lot of sushi and everything like that. But then like the clamshells and the mussels you got to pick off the thing. I was looking at that. They're like, it's a delicacy. You've got to have it. And one of my buddies who I went to school with at USC, Lofa Tatupu, he grew up here and he was around. He's like, you got to go get this, that, and the other. And so I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then, of course, the first time my wife comes out, we go, and I said, babe, this is the thing. We got to go get some clams and this, that, and the other. And she got terribly sick.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's the worst.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God. It was one of those days. So I was like, oh, sorry, babe. Maybe not so much clams and that. But I mean, we used to spend a lot of time down in Providence also, and also in Boston, and just like the Italian food and the cuisine is just phenomenal.
Fantastic.
That's
so
awesome.
So you've been to Providence. I got to ask you, have you ever had Oneyville's 3 all the way hot dogs or hot wieners?
No, but now you're making me hungry.
Yeah. How about coffee milk? You ever try coffee milk in Rhode Island?
No.
So we got 2 things we need you to try. You got it next time.
Coffee milk and what'd you call it? Spicy dogs?
Yeah, no. So they call it 3 all the ways, which is hot wieners that are covered with a meat sauce, some sauerkraut. What else is on top of that?
Onions.
Onions, not sauerkraut.
Mustard, no ketchup.
Oh,
so
it's
fantastic. Just a boom of flavor in your mouth.
Yeah. Yes. But the only thing is you will smell for at least a day or 2
You'll
to get
smell,
that.
Yeah.
Couple
And then
days.
the next
Couple
day,
days.
it'll really you'll start to feel it a little
It
bit.
seeps out of your pores.
Yeah. I hear you.
Awesome. So when you were in the New England region, would you say that you had a favorite state of the 6 states that we have here? Obviously, you played in Foxborough. You lived in that area, but did you get up to Maine, Vermont?
Yes, we went to Maine, Vermont. In Vermont, we actually went up there. My wife and I did before we had kids. After season, it was incredible because we went and got this little cottage at this place, snow all over the ground. Then we went out and we hit the snowmobiles. And
that's awesome.
That was awesome. And then they had this like little pub after you're done. You come up, you smell like gasoline, but it doesn't matter. And you're going in, you're having a nice beer, you're having some good food, but it was like just pristine. And the beauty of that place when the snow's falling and everything else. And I didn't even know. I'm mobbing down on this snowmobile, and I see this guy, and I look around, and he's just sitting there. It's a cop taking the speed. I was like, what the heck is going on? I kept seeing speed limits. I was like,
we'll get you somehow.
Yeah, they're sitting there, they're like, no, dude, you can't speed on the snowmobile either. I was like, my bad.
Yeah.
Oh
my God, that's
but
too funny.
it was pretty kick-ass experience. And then when I got out here, one of the coolest things that I got a chance to do was Fred Smirlis and Diossi. They had this charity group that we used to go around and play local police departments and fire departments, and they'd sell out these gyms, and we'd do it all summer long. And it was awesome because we'd have like 5-6 guys from the team that we'd go to all these different areas all around New England and get to experience the people. Then afterwards they'd have like a little banquet, and we get to go hang out with all their families and everybody like that. So it was really a cool way to experience New England, the people, and everything like that.
That's so cool.
So awesome.
You just mentioned a lot of fun activities, events, and things you've done over the years. Is there, out of any of that, like one thing from New England that you could pick out that was like, that's my favorite moment from being out here?
Gosh, you know what? I got to go to, I think it was game 6 that the Celtics won?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the championship game.
Oh, yeah.
And, dude, and we were there. It was myself, Larry Izzo, and Wes Welker, and we're sitting up there. And I grew up a Lakers fan, so I'm not going to sit there and say like I was diehard, but how do you not get immersed in the culture and the sports? And just this town is so vibrant when it comes to that world. And then to be there at that moment, I'll never forget. Celtics win, and it's mayhem on the streets, dude. We got in, and we just parked our car and went into bars, like in the middle of the street. People are running around, jumping out of the car. It was so cool because that time period too. Red Sox win, Celtics win,
right?
And so the city had such an energy to it, man. It was so cool.
That's so awesome. All right, one last question. Can you give us your best Boston accent?
The wicked pissa.
Awesome.
Even today when I get back here, it's so funny. I saw a few of my old buddies and stuff like that I've known for a long time since being up here, and I constantly hear wicked. And I was like, that was
that's
wicked
awesome.
Rude that I didn't introduce you to my cousin. And I'm like, yeah, that's
great.
Yeah.
Well, you just won the shootout over here too, which I got to watch firsthand. So congratulations.
I appreciate that.
You're a sharp shooter out there, man. The accuracy
on and off the field.
They put that little red dot behind it. I was like, yes, thank you. Because handguns can be tricky when you're trying to line up those sights, and then they're like, no, we got the dot on there. I was like, yes.
That's awesome. Well, Matt Castle, thank you so much for jumping on the So New England podcast. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Appreciate
Thanks, brother.
it, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Happy to have you.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves, please.
Go first.
No, you're my elder.
It's fucked up.
Will Worthy, Andre Mendez.
Yes.
All right, so we got 2 first-generation Americans here, which is a first for the So New England podcast.
Definitely a first.
So where are you from?
My mother's from Sweden. My father's from England. They met in Rhode Island and had me in East Greenwich, Rhode Island.
Fantastic.
Go.
And how about you?
Both of my parents are from Brazil.
Okay, so you're first, and you moved, and you were born in the
I
US?
was born here.
In Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Okay, what's it like owning you guys own a small business? Tell me a little bit about that.
We own big bear hunting and fishing in Gloucester, Rhode Island. Very involved with the two-way community in Rhode Island.
Fantastic. So where can people find your business, and how do they, what kind of services are you offering so that people know? Because a lot of people listening to this might not be aware of what you guys offer. So walk me through how you get people started when they come through the door, what the experience is like, so that people can, get excited about coming in to visit you guys.
Sure. I'll take it.
Yeah, go.
I'll go. Ready, set, hike. So when we started Big Bear, the customer experience was definitely something that we wanted to focus in. So when people come in, they feel comfortable. Because a lot of times, especially with new shooters or people that never shot, it's a little intimidating to walk in a room full of guns.
Right.
You know what I mean? So friendly, hey, how are you? Introduce yourself, whatever, kind of get a feel. But from start to finish, we always said that we wanted to provide the customer with the white glove service. You know what I mean? You try to be an expert in everything, but if we don't know something, we usually work with the customer on that as well, because there's so much to learn and the industry's changing daily. So we don't bullshit people.
So how long have you guys been involved with the Matt Light Foundation?
So I've known Matt since he still played for the Patriots.
Okay.
I worked with the craft organization and a lot of their audio video needs back when they first built the place.
Okay.
And then I was kind of the big guy, so if they needed somebody to watch their back at a concert, I was kind of like the friend that just started hanging out.
Oh, okay.
So most of their houses, I made sure that they were secure. They had camera systems. And then I ended up playing in a band for the craft organization and being like their private party event guy.
That's so awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then so I started meeting a lot of the different players, and then through different events and stuff, and then I just disappeared from the area for a while. I moved out. I was living in Rhode Island, and those guys were always kind of still doing their thing, and so I met Matt somewhere like maybe 10 years later, probably around maybe year 13 of this, and I said, "Hey man, what can I help with? I own a gun shop. Would love to be, and we were doing Cerakoting, where you're putting a really cool artistic paint job on firearms to either make them look old, young, or
Right.
Deadpool shit.
Oh, that's so
And
sick.
so
That's
we
sick.
came here.
to skin. Deadpool guy right
Yeah.
there. Loves it.
So we just started making guns cool again, right?
Yeah.
So we came here that show, and then Matt moved into town, and I'm actually the town councilman in town where Matt now lives.
Right.
So he reached out to us and said, "Hey, how can our two organizations work together?" And one of our pillars is education. So when we heard that he was going to start doing some youth training, we're like, "Hey, we're in. We want to
That's so
we
cool.
want to do that." So we started hooking back up with them, and then this year we're opening up our second business that's still in the gun industry. We're opening up a shooting range
Oh, fantastic.
called The Range.
Very clever.
Where you going
That's
this
awesome.
weekend?
What's that?
The range.
The range.
So we're going to force everybody else to have to change their marketing idea of how to get people to their range.
Exactly. So now we're looking for the range, and only you guys will
We
pop
just
up.
pop up.
Yeah.
Genius.
But
That's so
don't
cool.
worry, there is a Dunkin' Donuts right across the street.
Smart man.
That's a
And you
staple.
can find it.
That's a
No one shooting
staple.
a gun without a donkey's in their hand.
That's right.
Hey, get to that Dunkin' right across the street.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So that's how we reconnected. And now that we have the new range opening, this was a great platform for us to come in, do a ton of donating to his charity, and kind of get back in. So we're excited about it.
Fantastic. Now listen, there's no short about it, okay? Rhode Island, when it comes to guns, it's not the type of state that's always like gung ho, pun intended,
Correct.
when people talk about being gun owners.
Right.
If you could give a pitch, if you will, to individuals who are on the fence about owning a gun, getting a license, going to a range for the first time, and it's not, let's remove the politics of it. What kind of conversation could you have with an individual to let them know that not only are they important, but they're safe, and when they're done the right way, under control, like individuals who are professional, trained, and safe, it can be a fun, enjoyable experience like it is here.
Exactly. I mean, I think you might have answered your own question.
You definitely.
I have a tendency to ramble. My apologies.
He does do
You're
that.
such a genius.
This guy does do
You want to
that.
sell guns?
We just run this bot shop. Run our shop.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it. So if anyone wants gun information, I got you.
Well, one of the aspects right now, women is the largest new group in the firearms industry.
Interesting.
There's a lot of divorces, a lot of separated moms, and moms are usually always the protector of the house, mama bears, right?
Amen to that. Shout out to my
So-
mom, Sheila.
Yeah. So they constantly, now they come into a place where you get a couple of fun guys like us that, we're not threatening. We want to be embracing to that experience. Plus, on top of that, throw education.
Right.
And they're in.
Right.
They want to be able to protect their families. So the women market, I think we have done a very good job with making people feel comfortable in our store. And just like you said, there is a whole sporting side behind,
Right.
running through the woods and trying to be G.I. Joe on the weekends.
Right.
I mean, you get a lot of those guys, like the 2-gun, 3-gun events.
Right.
So anybody who wants to do competitions, we can sell them all that stuff. And, the women that come in, they feel comfortable.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
to add to that, not to beat a dead horse, but the education piece is so critical. Time and time again, I see people come in and they're either nervous or timid because they don't know what they're dealing with.
Right.
I mean, try to think back to the first time you drove a car. I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking, right? For most
Right.
people until you started driving,
Right.
you know? So, we've really focused on getting that person from square one to as far as they want to go. Maybe they just want to focus on protecting their home. Maybe they want to get into a shooting sport of some kind. whatever it is. Maybe they want to learn how to shoot out of a car, if whatever,
Right.
apocalypse.
Yeah.
So the program's been designed to really kind of tailor to each individual person.
Mhm.
And we have a great team to do that with as well. A lot of really, really talented people that have been in the industry for decades. So
Fantastic.
That's so cool. Love that.
Being first generation as you are, what was it like growing up in a first generation household here in Rhode Island? Trying to acclimate to the Rhode Island people and the Rhode Island way of living.
Like my grandparents and my mother trying to acclimate by learning the English language.
Yeah.
Back in the 40s and 50s, when a lot of those people were coming over here for the first time, they had their like the Portuguese American Club. They
Right.
had the Italian Emergency. Those clubs now are slowly dying away.
Right.
But that was a place where they would learn the language and then figure out who was going to get a job. And maybe if they could find themselves a job or get a lead on a job, that was like a meeting place for all of them.
Right. Right.
And so I think for me, my upbringing was about learning and hearing a lot about their trials and tribulations.
Mm.
And maybe from that, I got the whole hard work thing.
Gotcha.
So I watched them suffer through layoffs or whatever. And it made me, I think, a little bit different as a person watching them struggle through that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I came from Rio. I don't know how familiar you are with that place, but it's a really big metropolitan
I'm from
area.
Rhode Island, man. I don't know much. I don't know much south of Exit 1 in Westerly. After that, I'm out. I got no clue what the hell's going on over there.
Yeah. Well, think of like New York City, but worse.
I didn't know it could get worse than New York City.
Yeah. Well, crime's bad.
Yeah.
So coming from there, I ended up moving to Warwick, which
Okay.
is, it's like a suburb, right?
Yep.
And growing up, my parents just worked,
Right.
it was work. My whole family owned their businesses pretty much every single generation prior to me.
Yep.
So as far as shooting goes, it was more of a luxury.
Yeah.
Funny thing though is since I started, coming to Big Bear, come to find out, like my uncles, they all grew up hunting and they have
okay.
shotguns and stuff. I'm
Oh,
like,
there you go.
you have a shotgun in your closet? Why didn't you ever tell me? He's like, yeah, should I take it out? I'm like, yeah, let's go.
That is great.
Yeah.
And now, how is it owning a business in Rhode Island? Right? Because obviously, small businesses is what Rhode Island thrives on. But the reality is we're a very transient state when it comes to committing to a certain place, which is why these larger corporations seem to be the only thing that friggin' last. Because there's always the hot new Italian spot on the corner. There's the new coffee shop that popped up that everyone's dying to go to.
Yeah.
But how would you say it is dealing with Rhode Island people, what that experience is like? And then tell me a little bit about like having to survive the difficulties of this economy that we're dealing with.
Oh boy. Has a lot.
Yeah, I think so. As far as Rhode Island has a great 2A community.
Yeah.
Everybody shops everywhere, right?
Right.
So everybody's got a relationship at another gun shop. I think at the end of the day, we see a lot of that return customers
Okay.
because I think they like what we're about and they know what we're trying to do in the long run. We try to really accommodate the hunting guy, the guy who goes out and fishes. We want to sell that first rod to that guy for his kid, and
Right.
then, the more people you get involved, the more they're always going to come back.
Right.
So, I think we do a very good job with the new business and making sure existing customers are always coming back.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the state is concerned, I don't do business in other states. So, to be fair to state, I really can't compare and contrast.
I gotcha.
But I mean, if you look at the data out there, right? Rhode Island is consistently in the bottom of a lot of these different statistics.
Right.
You know,
the best airport in the world.
Oh my God. Don't even. We just flew back from Texas last night. You can't get past Connecticut without 4 connecting flights. TF
Yeah.
Green, my
It's the
ass.
worst.
I mean, I will say because I
unbelievable.
tend to deal with the agencies a little bit more. It's not easy.
Yeah.
All right. There are a lot of roadblocks, a lot of fines, a lot of like permits. There's just a lot of costs that's associated with it. Not to complain about the town, but even the towns, luckily Gloucester's great, but they're always throwing little permits here and there, and it's just like nickel and diamond, the company. So it is difficult, and there are a lot of roadblocks, but again, comparing to other states, I don't know, because I know people from other states, and they seem to complain about the same things.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean?
It can't be stagnant in this town.
Yeah.
No.
Like I
Steady
always
movement.
tell him, like there was a guy in the late 90s, 2000s that owned every single nightclub in Rhode Island, and he would shut it down every 4 years and just rebrand the whole thing, and then he would be the next big thing. So I think, for a retail shop, we got to constantly be thinking about what's next and,
Right.
and how can we re-engage our customer base. And I think so far we've pretty much done a pretty good job with that. And now opening the range is giving them another thing to do. So
Right.
if you are the outdoorsman, Big Bear might be where you want to come and buy most of your outdoor equipment. If you want to go shoot and learn and train and educate yourself, the range is going to be that. So we're going to have, I think,
Or just for fun. You
Or
want to
just
go
for
out,
fun,
you want to have a
right.
birthday party, bachelor party.
but two completely different products
Right.
that can still coexist within a 30-mile state.
Awesome.
So
That's really
Fellas,
cool.
I got to hear your best Boston accent or Rhode Island accent, which is not that different, but
hawk the car.
not bad. You kind of already had one. You were kind of like, oh, I'm down at Warwick. I'm like, okay.
yeah.
There's a second W in there, but we'll just
Well,
forget that one.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Awesome. Fellas, thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I
Have
thank
you
you
got
for
you and your
questions,
crew
giving
come
some-
down to this new shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for the little
Thank you,
education
guys.
and letting our audience hear you guys, and
Yeah.
hopefully we get you guys some business. We are back on the So New England podcast. We have our first ever So New England guest that is actually a small business here in Rhode Island, Blackbird Farm, and we are here with Anne Marie, owner.
Blackbird Farm is owned by our family, which is the Bouthelette family.
Okay, great. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are and what you guys do?
So we are a farm that does completely 100% Angus beef and American Heritage Berkshire pork, which is bred, born, raised all at our farm in Smithfield, Rhode Island. We've done this for 15 to 18 years. We sell all the farm-to-fork restaurants that want to use our product. Our beef is all dry age for 21 days, and our pork is dry age for 2 weeks. No hormones, no antibiotics, and we have the largest Angus herd in this part of the country. I have to tell you that.
Oh,
That
that's
is
awesome.
fantastic. And you were just saying that you're what they call a farm mom. Tell us about that.
Well, the farm mom does a lot of jobs, keeps everybody in therapy. I go out there and take care of calves, cows, drive the truck and trailer, tractors, whenever there isn't anybody else to do it. Take care of grandchildren, prepare food, handle the restaurants, make sure everybody's doing their job. But we are the lowest people on the totem pole.
I was gonna say, so what is it that you? It's probably better to ask what you don't do, because you sounds like you do everything else.
Plus do the farm stand, talk
Wow.
to customers.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so can people come directly to the farm to purchase meat from you as well if they're not even like a
Yes.
business?
Everybody can buy online as well.
Oh, okay. So what's the
And we
website?
ship nationwide. You can come to the farm stand at 660 Douglas Pike.
660 Douglas
And
Pike.
see all the cuts of beef and pork that we raise right at the farm. It's for everybody. There's something for everybody in that farm stand.
Fantastic. And you
Yep.
said you've been in business for 15, 18 years?
The farm has been in existence since 1984, but I've done this all my life.
Oh, fantastic.
Let's go.
What is it? So you're born and raised in Rhode Island?
Yes, bred, born, and raised.
Okay. Well, so then you got a lot of experience in this beautiful state of ours.
Exactly.
What's it like doing business here? Because obviously Rhode Island thrives on small businesses, but we have our tough times. We have our tough share of trying to make things work. How's that been for you dealing with the Rhode Island business demographics and dealing with Rhode Island people? Because I'm sure you have some fun stories.
I have some great stories because we showed these cattle, this cattle all over the United States. I took my kids, we bought cattle all over the United States, and people didn't really believe that Rhode Island existed. And
Of
you had to
course.
gain the respect
course.
from some of these cattle guys out in the Midwest, and we did. Our cattle are bred for marbling, and the pork is as well. And it's a unique type of product, and we have the respect. It's something for everybody to try. We make sausage, no byproducts. So if you're in that caliber where you want to know where your food comes from, now is the time. Come on out.
That's awesome.
Talk to us.
Fantastic. Anne-Marie, this was great. I love the opportunity to try and help get your business out there to our audience so people can learn. And you got a customer in me. I'll be swinging by to pick up some meat. That's for sure.
The steaks are great. Trust me.
I can't wait.
The tomahawks are awesome.
Fantastic. Anne-Marie, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
So New
you.
England podcast.
Have a great day.
Thank
You too.
you.
Take care. All
Well-
right, folks. Welcome back to the So New England podcast. With us now, our next guest is the Jermaine Wiggins in the house. Can we got a little horn? Is that set up? No? Oh, bummer.
Oh, man. I was
Awesome.
hoping for something like a little intro, like
You
my
guys know
walk-up
him.
song.
You know him from football, and you obviously hear him on his show in the morning. Greg Hill, Jermaine Wiggins. Wiggy, thanks for jumping on with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. Anytime.
Matt says you've been involved with this event for a few years now, huh?
Well, this is my, we always promote his, here we go.
There we go. Let's go.
My guy, here we go. We always promote his event on the radio, on the Greg Hill Show. And but this is the first time that I actually came here and did it, because I'm always like, damn, I want to do it, but by the time I get off the radio and then an hour and whatever drive, am I going to be able to get there?
Yep.
So I said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm gonna go. I want to be part of it. I love guns. It's super cool.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great experience.
Yeah, it's dope. I was literally, we were driving in and I was listening to you with Ty, and you were like, all right, I'm going to come down. I was like, yo, Jermaine will be there. We got to get him on the pod.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you jumping on. All right, so you're an Eastie guy.
Born and bred.
Born and bred.
That's
Yep.
so cool.
You got a favorite New England state?
New England State.
Yeah, favorite New England state.
I would say Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
I didn't know if you were going to be biased. I don't know if you'd like to get up to Vermont and Maine,
No, I mean, I've been to Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, obviously. I think every place is cool. They got their own little unique spin on things. I've been to Vermont, not as many times, but I know a lot of people, have great things to say about it, especially like skiing and, and that type of shit. But I'm not really a skier, so.
Yeah.
But no, I would say Massachusetts for sure.
Oh, dope. Okay.
But then again, maybe let's call it, maybe I'll say Massachusetts because that's where I'm from, but New Hampshire, there's no state tax.
Yeah.
So
You get it.
let me explain that. Best part of New England is New Hampshire. There's no state tax, unlike Massachusetts.
Well, obviously, being born and bred, it's not always the same for a lot of athletes out there. But being from here, what was it like having how dedicated our fan base is.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you to be able to play for it?
Well, I was and still am one of those dedicated fans. I remember when I was growing up, I never forget, my mother came home with my Squish the Fish t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, back in, I think it was like 86 or something. And, that's when the Patriots played the Dolphins in the AFC Championship. They ended up winning that one. And then she ended up going, I think it was to like Woolworths or something. Then I got the Bury the Bears. So I had the Squish the Fish and the Bury the Bears t-shirts. So I've always been a fan. I've always been a Celtics fan, Bruins fan of the Red Sox. Growing up, I was a big basketball guy. So I was always, a Larry Joe fan and watching the Celtics and everything. So to be the fan and then have the opportunity to play for the Patriots, a lot of my friends were like diehard fans. They would gamble on the Patriots. So they were all like, it was all kind of living vicariously through me.
Right.
That's so cool.
When we went to different events, or if I brought them up and they got to meet guys like Brady and Bill and, just a bunch of cool guys, Ty and some of the teammates, Lawyer, Brewski. So it was really cool for them to meet these guys that, 96, we remember I was in college when I watched them in the Super Bowl against Green Bay. And so I was, I knew all these guys. I mean, I knew Curtis Martin from being a fan. I knew Ben Coates I loved. So, Drew Bledsoe. So, man, it's like to be able to be
crazy.
To be a fan and then ultimately be playing for the team was like,
That's awesome.
That's wild.
yeah, like, wow, that's pretty cool.
So two of my good friends, Tommy Garino and Prosciutto Papi, they're content creators. They're Eastie guys. They're from Boston. And I asked them this question, so I want to get your take. What actually is, what areas are Boston? What is considered Boston to you?
So I would say, so for me growing up, Boston meant you were from one of the towns that Southie, Charlestown, Dorchester, Roxbury,
Got you.
Mattapan, South End, it meant that you lived, obviously, East Boston. It meant that you could go to any Boston public school in the high school, in the city.
Yep.
So if you could go to a Boston public school and you live somewhere within that kind of world, that's kind of what that's what being from Boston meant. Like,
That's
so
dope.
people are like,
That's a
"Oh."
great answer. I like that.
Yeah.
That's similar to what Tommy and Chad said. They're like,
Very-
like,
very
bro,
close,
if you went
yeah.
to Boston public schools or you took the bus, like you're from Boston.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
how it
Or
works.
if you could say, I went to high school, I went to a Boston public school, because you had to live in the city. Like, you couldn't live in Milton or Randolph and go to a Boston public school. You needed an address, a Boston address. So if you had that and you went to one of them schools, that obviously meant you were from Boston. But then again, I got Boston tatted on me, so
Yeah.
I've had it on me forever.
hard.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So I've always been proud of where I'm from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And never forget. I got a tattoo right on my forearms, East Boston.
Love
never
that.
forget.
That's
and
so
anybody who's
cool.
ever played with me, they'll always tell you, like, I don't know if you were out there, Matt Light was busting my balls when we were doing the shoe
celebrity
thing.
show. Yeah. I
Yeah, he
was
was
watching.
like, I'm from our good friend Wiggy from South Boston, but he always knows, like, but anybody who knows me, who's played with me, they always know I, obviously represent Boston, but East Boston, and so they always like, and I think I was one of the originators of on Monday Night Football with Chris Berman. I don't know, but this is what I've been told. If you go back and you watch the Monday Night Football intros, I started when I used to say Jermaine Wiggins, like, the
Yep,
name,
yep.
I would say Jermaine Wiggins from East Boston, and now everybody does it.
I've always, as a football fan, I've always wondered, like, I wonder where that started. Like,
You
who was
might-
the first one?
You
So
sitting
I'm gonna
across
have
from
to.
me.
I'm
do some
gonna credit
diving.
you for it just because,
Yeah.
it sounds right.
Do some digging, and Chris Berman would always say, Jermaine Wiggins from East Boston every time they would do that thing. So yeah, go back, because I want to say I was like one of the 4 founders,
Yeah.
original band members when it came out. Everybody does it,
Yeah, it's like a thing to do.
Yeah, I think then Terrell Suggs, he put his own little spin from the School of Hard Knocks, and but I was, I kind of laid the foundation
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Same with the hurdle, and I kind of laid the foundation.
So when you had teammates that came to New England to play with you that weren't from this area,
Uh-huh.
let alone never traveled to the Northeast, what did you tell them and warn them about the Boston people and the Foxborough and like Mass, just like us as a fan base? Because we're
Mhm.
kind of like a unique region a little
Right.
bit, right?
Well, I would take all these guys to East Boston. I would take a bunch of the guys, like a couple of the guys that got him tattoos for my boy Mikey Asco, rest in peace, who used to do tattoos for us when we were younger. And guys would come in and, remember, you had to go to New Hampshire to get tattoos and
Right.
stuff like that. But, I knew a guy. We always know a guy.
Always know a guy.
When you're from
That's
Boston,
so
you always-
New England, right?
That's
there.
so
You
New
always know
England,
a
yeah.
guy.
So I think like Lawyer Malloy, Willie McGinnis, maybe Robert Edwards. There was like a handful of guys that got tattooed from my boy Mikey Asco, and I would bring them to East Boston, and then like the Rack, which used to be Hard Rock, right in Faneuil Hall. I knew all the guys that like bounced and owned those spots back in the day, like when people needed to get in. Remember, it was like, oh, you got to know the bouncer, you got to know the bouncer. So
Right.
I'd always be like my claim to fame, and I'll always bust his balls to this day. It's like when Brady couldn't get in, I'd be like, I would know the bouncer. I'm like, yeah, he's cool. He plays with the team. This was before he was, So that's kind of like how I would introduce kind of being from Boston and like guys who came in and like wanted to like know what it was really like and everything like that. So that was part of it. Because you always want to go, when you go to different places, you want to kind of get the feel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I would, a lot of guys,
Just
I
put
would,
them in it, give them some exposure.
yeah, I would,
Plus,
take them
from
around.
all over, like, when you're in the NFL, you guys can be from
Oh,
literally
Everywhere.
49 other
everywhere.
places.
Yeah,
So,
and it's like you meet so many different people from so many different places. And you're right, Boston is a very unique place. And the sense when I grew up, I remember I graduated high school in 93. So Boston, the way I remember it and growing up, would be like mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s. So it was like so completely different. I used
Right.
to like drive guys past like the D Street projects just to have fun with them
Yeah.
and be like, they see these projects and like, you know, if you ever been to these street projects back in the days, you'd be like, man, this is a rough area. And I'd be like, yeah, guess what? Ain't nothing but Irish people who live here. And then I would take them to like OP, Orchard Park projects or something like that. And you'd be like, oh, there's nothing but black people that live here. Or you could take them to like certain parts of like Mattapan or Dorchester back in the day where there would be like nothing but Latinos. And so it was like, it was a different time and area versus what it is now. It's like, you know, it was always like, I guess you could say it was kind of like a melting pot, but everybody had their own little sections, you know. East Boston and the North End were predominantly Italian, but East Boston High School, remember, if you grew up in Boston, you could go to any school. So we had a lot of kids from Dorchester and Roxbury because our basketball program was good.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
dope.
that's kind of how the environment, like even Prosciutto Poppy and Tommy, they're a lot younger than I am, so their era is completely different than how, you know, it used to be when I was growing up.
Yeah. So you've traveled all around, obviously, with all of your career in general. So if you had to choose another state to bring into New England, what would you do? And let's say, like, it brings in everything. So even if it's like Florida, it's got the nice weather and the nice beaches.
You got
can
the
bring 'em all.
Florida, you got the Florida wild people that come with it.
Everything comes with it, top to bottom.
Man, I would have to say, that's such a good question. I'd have to go with Georgia because I went to UGA and I love Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta's such a cool vibe and such
it's a good
fun spot. So I would definitely say Georgia. And obviously, you know, I graduated from the University of Georgia, so I'd have to kind of throw that in there as well. So
That's a great place.
That's a good
beautiful
choice.
place.
All right. So let's close this out. I mean, I've heard it before. I've heard you say it before, but you're an Eastie guy, so you know a real authentic Boston accent.
Yeah.
Let's hear your best Boston accent here.
My best Boston accent? So what are we doing, like
Hollywood style.
Oh, we doing like we doing like the town and the Departed and stuff like that. Oh man, I tell you though, what's his face did a good job with Leonardo DiCaprio. He did a decent job with. And almost sometimes I feel like when Mark does it, Mark Wahlberg, he goes extremely hot. Hey, what are you doing, kid? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying?
You would hate mine. That's my whole stitch.
Yeah.
And I'm a Rhode Island guy. But
because remember, Rhode Island's got
New York
this
too.
weird New York, Boston type of put together. Because I'll hear like some Rhode Island people talk, and they sound like, because I played in New York, so they sound like New Yorkers.
Yeah.
You know, and then you hear, but they also got some of the Boston accent in there. But I love Rhode Island too. I ain't gonna lie, Rhode Island's such a cool vibe.
Yeah, we're a good spot, man. It's a nice state. You ever had 3 all the way in a coffee milk from Oneyville?
See, here's the difference. I grew up on roast beef.
Okay.
Right? And 3-ways were never big in East Boston.
Right.
When I grew up, it was just sauce and cheese.
Right, I got
So
you.
when somebody says, give me a 3-way, I'm like, ugh. I'm not putting mayonnaise on my roast beef. I grew up in Radley's roast beef, you know, Beachmont roast beef, places like that, and Kelly's, and it was never really like, we never asked for mayonnaise. Like, so I think that's like a way North Shore thing.
Yeah, well, so like three-way is like is the roast beef, but in Rhode Island, 3 all the way is 3 hot wieners.
Oh, I didn't
from
know.
Oneyville.
Oh,
So you've never had that before.
No.
They got
I never
meat
had.
and
When
onions.
you said 3 all the way, I thought you meant like a 3-way roast beef.
No. So we got like Miller's roast beef here in Rhode Island, which is pretty
Miller's
good.
and
It's
Walt's.
up there with Kelly. It's not as good, but like,
But I wouldn't even put Kelly's up at the top of the list. I mean, there's, you know, because remember, we're going into the food world here, which is kind of my neck of the woods.
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk.
I was going to ask, but
They
go ahead.
use
You
like,
go.
They use like a thicker roast beef, the way they cut their roast beef, it's thicker, where if you go to like Rallies, or like if you go to like a Beachmont roast beef, which is no longer there. I'm trying to think of a place like a Nick's roast beef.
Yep.
Mike's roast beef, I think, is in Everett. Nick's is in Winthrop. There's more shredded roast beef.
Gotcha.
And I
Okay.
think the majority of places do that. Kelly's is a little bit different than the way the majority of places. I like the shredded roast beef. So.
Gotcha. I've only had it from Kelly's because like I said, we got Miller's roast beef here in Rhode Island, so I've only had Kelly's before.
And
But
it's got to be with the James River.
yeah.
Do they in them Miller's roast beef? They put the James River barbecue sauce.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Because
It's
3 all the
delicious.
way is Olneyville, New York Systems.
Yeah, so hot
So
wieners.
they're 3 hot wieners,
Okay.
mustard, no ketchup,
All right.
chopped onions. There's some sprinkle sauce. What is it? Sprinkle? What do you call it?
I have no idea.
Something.
Garlic?
No one
Yeah,
knows what it's
it's a
called, but
secret
it's on there.
sprinkle.
Seasoning.
Season it.
And
Is it in a bun or is it in
It's
all?
in a bun.
It's in a
Okay.
bun.
Yep.
And they like kind of like smush. It's like it almost looks like one giant.
Yeah.
It's like all together.
Oh, okay.
And you rinse it down with the coffee milk. So
Oh, I
you
never
gotta
had
try
that.
those next
Yeah, I
time you're
gotta
down in
give
Rhode
it a
Island.
shot in Rhode Island. I heard the what's it? The where's the good Italian area? I don't even say
Federal
French.
Hill.
Yeah,
Federal Hill.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's
got
a good
some,
spot.
some good Italian
Yeah, you get
food
some good
over there.
Italian food over there for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right,
All right,
Wiki. Thank you so much for jumping
Hey,
on with
Hey,
us.
thank
brother.
you
We
so much for your
appreciate it.
time today.
Thank you for having me. All right, you guys are wicked awesome.
Let's
man,
go.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. All right, folks, we are back on the So New England podcast. We have the hostess with the mostest, the most important man of the hour, Matt Light. Matt, thank you so much for having us out today.
Yeah, thank you.
The microphone's yours. Tell us about your foundation. Tell us
Where
about
do
what
we
you're
begin?
doing,
What
everything
are
you
we
got
doing?
going on.
Why are we here? That is the question, is it not? I mean,
Yes.
you want to talk about organized chaos at its finest. And when I say organized, you guys can see this. You go to a lot of events, you see a lot of things, but rarely do you see something quite like this. And that's not braggadocious. It's really to actually brag about my team because they are the
Amazing.
ninjas of the world. And when I say execution, when I think about teamwork, and we talk a lot about teamwork through the Life Foundation and leadership and those qualities and things that make people successful, it's on display in everything that happens here. And this is our 20th year celebration of the Celebrity Shootout. This event will raise a couple $1 million in one afternoon, one day.
Unbelievable.
Doing
That's
the
so
things that
cool.
we love most, being in the outdoors, shooting guns, and I think it tells a really unique story in today's day and age, right? It tells the story of perseverance and overcoming what used to be an event that people said, hey, I love what you're doing with kids, love those leadership programs, but I can't support an event with guns, to now educating people about the shooting sports and how much fun this can be and how different and unique it is. And also raising a crazy amount of money at a very small cost, right? So in the world of nonprofit, if you can have a margin where 50% of what you raise goes to the charity, right? 50% are cost, that's a really good thing. We blow that number out of the water. It's going to cost us about $150,000 to raise $2 million. That is a
Unbelievable.
testament
What a
to
great
our
number.
sponsors, our people, our team, the way they do the work they do. So, man, it's a mouthful, I know, but if you're here and you've lived it, you've seen it, you know how dedicated this crew is. Our sponsors, our volunteers, our team. It's an amazing thing.
It's beautiful.
That makes
man.
you
It
the
really
goat
is.
of like fundraising now. Look at you. Who needs Tom Brady? We
I
got
don't
Matt
wanna
Light in the
roast it.
house.
Do not roast me, okay? All right. Although my team's done a pretty good job today with all these cardboard cutouts
Yeah.
of me looking like a complete degenerate, way overweight.
I was gonna
long
say,
hair. What is happening?
I
People
love it.
always talk about Tom and his different hairstyles over the years, but you're on display, man.
Well,
You got quite the.
But there is an assist. Like his hairstyles aren't necessarily his. Let's be honest. I mean, that Dr. Lepresti. Did I say that was my outside voice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that's
said that
okay.
out loud.
That's all right.
That's so
We're
great.
the So New England podcast.
So Matt reached out to me early on about promoting this. We made an awesome video together. It's been
We
like
did.
so much fun, like ever since. So you're not from this area originally, but you have now transplanted here. What do you think of Rhode Island?
Well, I'm learning it all from you. I
Yeah.
mean, I
You're welcome,
watch,
by the way.
I gain a little bit of knowledge, and then I figure out what bridges to cross and which ones not to cross,
Pretty simple.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I tell you, I've always loved Rhode Island. And it's funny because I remember Mr. Kraft used to always talk about the hardcore fans of Rhode Island are what make up Patriot Nation, right?
You're looking at the three of them right here.
I see. And, look, I started coming down here to Addyville East Farm in 2002, just after our rookie season, just after that crazy, are they going to win it? Are they not going to win it? Who are these guys? We win a Super Bowl and everything gets better. But for me, I was able to find a home down here in terms of, shooting and the things I did growing up in Ohio. And then, last year, man, we made the full-time big move down to Rhode Island. We're Chepachet natives now,
I
man.
love that for
Nice.
you. I love it.
Welcome.
Have you had a chance? I've been asking everyone. Have you had 3 all the way from Oneyville hot wieners yet?
So
You're a Rhode Islander now, so
I got introduced to Oneyville a long time ago.
Oh, my
Some
man,
of my dear
yes.
friends. Yes, I know. And it's in a little bit of a crazy location.
Yeah.
I had to kind of figure out how to get in and out of there, you know. You come off the hill, right?
Yep.
You make a little winding turn, and then you're in heaven.
Yeah.
And by the way, like, there's a snap to it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Nothing like a hot wiener.
Well,
Well, from Oneyville's,
Yeah.
just to clarify.
yeah, you gotta. Yeah, there's a little bit more.
There's
depth.
context to
That's
this,
the wrong
guys.
way to
Make
say
sure
it.
we don't clip that in the
Okay,
middle
all
of
right,
it.
All right. Yeah, no, listen, I've got some great tutors, you know, some people that have invested a lot into me to make sure that I know what Rhode Island's all about.
I love that
You
for
know?
you.
We thank them.
Yeah.
That's so great.
We thank
Oh,
them.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
they're the best.
So obviously you're not from here. One question we like to ask is, if you could bring in one state to New England, what would it be?
Bring in one state.
Any state in the U.S.,
Oh,
bring it
man.
over and they can be part of New England. Everything comes with it. The weather, the people, everything.
Well, I think, I mean, and maybe it's just me, but I think everybody feels bad for Maryland.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like I'm a giver. I want to help people, you know, and I think about some states and I'm like, well, first of all, you never heard of anybody from Arkansas ever.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the last
Never
time you
met
met
somebody.
somebody and they're like, where are you from? I'm from Rhode Island. How about you? Arkansas? No, never.
It's
No,
never
no.
happened.
It actually never happened. As a matter of fact, I think it's a lie. I don't know that the state exists. But Maryland, I feel like it's like, man, you could like literally drive through Maryland and wonder where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. no-
Because again, I've never actually met anybody from Maryland either, but I do know it exists. And yeah, why not bring them in, man? Let them be part of the festivities and the fun.
Oh, this is awesome.
Give them some love.
100%. All right. We're not going to keep you for much longer. I know you got a busy schedule.
I think they want me on stage, right?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter.
I think
We're
that's-
flowing here.
I think the one thing I got to hear from you is you got to give me your best Boston accent.
No, look, ask my wife this question. I have one accent, and it's really a medley of a whole bunch of stuff. It's like a little bit of Irish. It's a little bit of like English, you know, proper. And if I try to do Australian, that's not that hard, right? Like anybody can do it.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
No, you won't. No, you won't. Well, I mean, you can see me try. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I watch the movies. I listen to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I understand how like Good Will Hunting was.
Yep.
You know, I've seen some more of the more recent stuff where you know we've had
Just
some
let-
people do it.
Just let it roll off the tongue. I got to hear it. Come on.
Get in the car.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Honestly, it sounded a little bit. That was a little Rhode Island. Get in the
Yeah, it was a
car.
little more Rhode
By
Island.
the way,
There you
the
go.
Rhode Island is the most hardcore accent there is.
Well, because it's just like it's New York and
Yeah,
Boston.
it's
it's
like
a
dirty.
mixture.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
a little
only,
dirty.
It's only certain words. Like
Yeah.
in Boston, you just drop the R's. In New York, I don't even know what the hell that is. Rhode Island is like just certain words.
Yeah.
It's Warwick, but we say Warwick.
What? Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
no,
like, and also like Chepachet. No one from Rhode Island has like really been up here.
Yeah.
So this is like
Shepachet?
Shepachet. You're putting it on the map here for the first time.
Well, hey, look, man, don't come to Shepachet. I mean, we ride dirty. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's a little gnarly. I'm just telling you, it's kind of crazy. So I will say this: in Rhode Island, it's the women with the accent that blows my mind.
Yep.
It's like the roadie women have the hardcore. Like I would not mess with the mama bear from Rhode Island that has that hardcore. And I don't know where they hail the most from. I feel like it's more like southern Rhode Island is
Yeah.
a little bit
That's
dirtier.
where. Yep. That's where
Yeah.
my mom lives.
Yeah,
And she'll be the first one.
I'm not
She's
saying
gonna see
anything
this
about
and
your
be like,
moms.
"Yep, he's right. That's me. He's talking about Mama Bear. I got the accent." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, Mom."
Yeah, I can hear it, and she's a beautiful woman. I know. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to cause any problems. I want no hate mail.
You're making her day right now. This
But
is
God
great.
love you, Mom.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Awesome, Matt. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for jumping on. Thank you for having us, man.
Appreciate you so much.
Congratulations on a very successful 20th anniversary.
Congrats. Thank you.
And
20
honestly,
years.
It's just beginning because the people are still just piling in. I mean, this is still going to turn up to be a great night.
That's right. Here's a toast to the 20th.
A
May we
toast.
all survive tonight and get to the fireworks. Man, it's been great having you, man. I hope you had a
Awesome.
good time.
Yeah,
Thank you so
100%.
much.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
fellas.
All right, folks, we are back on the So New England podcast. We have a very special guest, Anne-Marie from In Boston Magazine. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you
Welcome
for taking
in.
time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. So obviously I make social media content. That's how we got our amazing introduction. But you got to tell me a little bit about your experience and how you started your In Boston Magazine. This is incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we started about 6 years ago in Boston, obviously, and we focus on New England. Basically because we used to have a lot of magazines that we could, pick up and read about what's happening, where to go, what's happening in the greater New England area. And then they sort of all got bought out by bigger conglomerates,
Right.
like like we had Improper, then there's Boston, which I love. I love looking at it, but they have a lot of like ads from everywhere else, and so we're just kind of focusing on staying local, showing off, showcasing everything that's going on in New England that matters to people doing good things, great places to go visit, and people to see, people to know. So if you come to Boston and pick up this In Boston magazine, you can kind of flip through and say like, oh, this looks really cool. Not something I heard of before, so
Right.
check it out.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
awesome.
That's literally what we're trying to do here with
It's
the podcast.
literally
Awesome.
That's why we
exactly
call
what
it
we're trying to
New
do.
England. So it's
See,
like
we gotta do a
we're a good
collab.
team.
Yeah,
we got a copy of the
absolutely.
magazine right here too. Look
Oh.
at this. Fantastic. Make sure we can. Vin, you want to check that camera because I kind of push forward. Make sure that I'm still in frame there. Still in frame. All right, cool. Make sure we get the In Boston magazine in there too. Bam, bam. Hey, this.
I was gonna say, wait a second, I know that guy.
RJ has on the cover of In Boston magazine this month, folks. Fantastic. This is so great.
That guy's dashingly handsome.
So you're born. Listen, I gotta be honest with you. You're the first person that we're having on the podcast that has like a real Boston accent. So a lot of people know my content as the guy that screams and talks about New England, and I have my accent, but it's a Hollywood version of it.
Yeah.
But you have the real Boston accent.
I try to have a more professional. I try to use my R's better, but
Oh no, that's great. You let that Boston accent fly. We love that around here. So where in Boston are you from originally?
I grew up in Malden. Malden's like 8 minutes from Boston, right over the Tobin. Like you go Boston, the North End, Revere, Malden.
Awesome. Well,
That's awesome.
So I have my good buddies Tommy Garino and the Prosciutto Poppy.
The Prosciutto Poppy and
Yeah.
Tommy's so yeah, I know them well. They actually, the cover before this one was Jonathan Tucker.
Oh, okay.
So he does the Boston Garden Dispensary.
Yep.
And I met them through him.
Oh, awesome.
I kinda
Oh, that's
knew them
awesome.
a little bit, but yeah, I met him. I talked to Tommy on the phone. Good kid.
That's so
That's
cool.
awesome.
Really good kid. Yeah.
So we
Great guys.
had them on the pod. We just had Jermaine Wiggins, and we asked him to.
yes, Jermaine, East Boston kid. Yeah, I know.
So we
him.
asked him the same question.
Yeah.
What specifically, when it comes to towns and parts of Boston, where do you have to live to say that you're actually from Boston?
Well,
In
I
your
think
opinion.
you have to have a connection to the
Right.
city. So whether if you're Italian, it's the North End generally. Southie is
Yep.
the Irish kind of. Then there's Dorchester. We have so many different people from everywhere. But I think you have to have at least settled there at one. Like my family had a store in the North End, so I have that connection. So I say Boston, but Malden, literally, it's like a suburb of
Right.
Boston itself. I'm in Linfield now. I still say Boston, but
Yeah.
it's still 11 minutes to the city.
Yeah.
But then you have people, even southern New Hampshire, that say they're from Boston. It's not real. They're not
Yeah.
there. They're not.
You heard
love
it here
that.
first,
Yeah.
folks. Southern New Hampshire, not Boston.
It's so funny though, because like obviously being from Rhode Island, we're like a small town. So anytime I travel, whenever I've gone to Europe, I always say, "Oh, I'm from Boston."
Yep.
Because when
Yeah.
I say Rhode
Yeah.
Island, they're like, "What's that?" And then when you're in the
Yeah.
U.S., you say
But
Rhode
yeah,
Island.
New England,
Yeah.
I mean, sort of like, I don't even know if I don't think there's a capital of New England, but.
Boston
it
would
could
be.
be
I was gonna say, I would say
it's
Boston.
It would
yeah.
be Boston because that's what everyone knows. Like when you say Boston, people think Boston. They think Boston Celtics. They
Yep.
think New England
Yeah.
Patriots.
Yep.
They
And
think
it
of
all
our
goes
region.
with New England, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear
we
you.
It's all
we
one
just
on one.
came back from Vin's bachelor party out in Texas, and we were at one of the games, and I was in line waiting for something, and one of the guys we were talking, he's like, "Oh, where are you from? You don't sound like you're from here. You don't have that southern draw." And I was like, "Oh, I'm from Rhode Island." He kind of looked at me funny. I was like, "Boston. That's where I'm from. I'm from Boston. It's
That's
right
kinda
there."
what you have to
I
do.
like your accent better.
Yeah.
It almost has that sort of Long Island
Yeah.
kind of vibe to it too.
It's
Yeah.
like a
It's
little
so
bit of
different,
Boston and
but
New
it's so
York meets
close.
Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
That's right.
We were saying that when we were with Wiggy, where everyone is like,
Yeah.
because I've been trying to get everyone to do their best Boston accent. Obviously, we don't have to ask you
Don't
because
have
you
to
have a
ask.
real one.
Yeah.
You're who I map mine after. I'm going to listen to this podcast back so I can improve mine.
We had a Rhode Island guy on the cover, Peter Marlowe.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome
Yeah.
guy.
That's so cool.
And then
That's awesome.
Kendra D'Alessandro, she's awesome. I don't know if
very-
you know her, but she's doing a big foundation for the Boston Marathon.
Oh,
she's
okay.
Rhode
Island based, yeah.
New Rhode Island, whatever.
Have you spent a lot of time down here in Rhode Island before?
Newport. I went to Newport all the time.
Beautiful
as a kid.
area.
Okay, cool.
Of course.
Years and years ago. But
That's all right.
Yeah.
So we ask a very specific set of questions. Not really, but they're fun. So New England as a whole is wonderful, but if you could bring any other state outside of New England and plug them right in, their people come, their culture comes, everything about them, food, which one would you bring?
Does it have to be this country?
We'll allow it.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll allow it.
Yeah.
I would say Sicily, Messina, Sicily.
Yeah, of course. It's your-
Yeah,
this
there
is
you go.
this is
This is
your
all- yeah.
hypothetical scenario.
yeah.
This is
That's
your
what we
dream.
wanna
Whatever you'd like.
That works for me.
I
My
mean,
Italian
I'm
heritage
very
is
happy.
Sicilian anyway, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
That is
I mean,
so awesome.
Most of Italy has the best food, but
Yep.
and then New York. New York has some good Italian food.
Yeah.
I just feel like, honestly, my personal opinion is Boston has the best Italian food anywhere in the country. When you go to other places, they're not the same.
Like the
Yeah.
North End.
Yeah.
What's your
The
favorite
North
spot in the
End.
North End?
I can't even, I don't think I could pick one because I have too many. Well, I mean, Frankie Pasquale, he was on my cover
Okay.
recently, so he has the whole Di Pasquale group with Nick Verano, so they have the Stregas, the new Brico, Umbria, Brico, like that
Yeah.
whole line of.
I went to Strega once. It was near the Prudential. I don't know.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that was a different one.
Yeah.
You know what? And I didn't. If you're not in the North End, like the one on Hanover Street, the original.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay.
You know, like I've been to restaurants outside of Boston. Like some people say, like go to Woburn, Mass.
Right.
It's the best Italian restaurant. I never like it, but also. I don't like to eat sauce outside of my home.
Yeah, okay.
And we call it sauce, not gravy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Sauce not gravy. Vin, do you confirm that? Sauce not gravy or what?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say sauce, not gravy. That's fair.
He goes to Noni's every Sunday, so.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, that's so
Love
great.
that.
So, in this magazine, what can people expect to see outside? So, like you're talking to England, but like these people that are coming on here, like, do people have to reach out to you to promote, or are you guys doing the like boots on the ground work yourself to find people?
We do have someone with boots on the ground locally.
Okay.
Not so huge. I usually do some Instagram posts, and it's usually like all networking. Like I kind of
Right.
grew up in an industry where I do like events, I do fashion shows, I design clothes too.
Oh, wow, okay.
I
That's
kind
so
of like
cool.
made my connections throughout my life, and I brought it all together because I was continuously putting together a photo shoot for some other magazine, or like making clothes, calling my photographer friends, you know, compiling everybody and
Right.
doing this to showcase something else. And then it wasn't exactly how I would have done it. I'm like, you know what, let's do our own thing.
Yeah.
It's basically nonprofit. We're going for nonprofit now, but we're kind of just looking to pull out everything that's so great about New England and compile
Yeah.
it into this product.
Oh,
and we're
love that.
online, and we do a roundtable talk show too. So you guys
That's
gotta
so
come down to
cool.
Boston
Yeah,
sometime.
that would
I'd
be
be love
that would
to go.
really be great.
Yeah.
I love that because our messaging aligns very well because
Yeah.
we're trying to do a similar situation, a
love
similar
it,
thing. Because
yeah.
you know, I'm fortunate enough to have the platform that I do,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to showcase so many different. That's why I asked you. I was like, I would love for people to be able to, get to meet you,
Yeah,
to be able to hear about
thank
the
you.
magazine,
No,
and
I really appreciate it.
and of course,
Yeah.
it's always good to get a Boston perspective on New England because
Absolutely.
as most New Englanders know, Boston thinks that they're the center of the universe
We
when it
do.
comes to the 6 states.
That is the truth.
even though Maine is huge and so is Vermont, but no.
I know.
And I say that as the redheaded stepchild of the group, being Rhode Island and tiny,
Someone's
so-
got to do it, and we'll proudly fill that role.
exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So if you were going to give advice, someone from out of town coming to Boston, what's the perfect day?
Well, the season, it really depends on
Let's
the
say
season.
let's say most people travel there in the summertime.
Yeah,
If they
summer.
come in fall, it's for the north.
Yeah, then
So,
there's like the
New
fairy
Hampshire,
stuff.
yeah.
Fair. No, not fairy, but
Yeah.
fair. Like kind
We'll
of this
allow it.
kind of stuff.
No.
But the summertime, absolutely, like a Boston Harbor day cruise. Go by, visit the tall ships in East Boston. We just did our event there.
Oh,
Amazing.
beautiful spot.
And the food is great. It's a huge event space. I mean, they have an old tall ship that they renovated. It's a bar now. I don't know if you guys have been
I've been
there,
to
but-
Tall Ship, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, huh?
Yeah, it's
and then,
awesome. With Tommy and Chad, actually, we shot our first collaborative video together in the middle of winter.
Awesome. It was still open in the winter?
It wasn't open, like we were there, but
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
was really open. So
I get it. I mean, a lot of people say go shopping. Shopping's everywhere. They
Yeah,
have
you can
that
shop
everywhere,
anywhere. You can shop online.
Like, that's kind of why also I got into this, because I went to school in Milan to do designing, and then I was
Whoa.
way
Whoa.
long time ago.
Curveball.
But everyone would say, "Where are you gonna go now?" I'm like, "No, I'm going home to Boston," and they're
Yeah.
like, "What?" And there's no fashion there, and so I kind of tried so hard to put Boston on the map in fashion, and it's there a little bit. It's
Right.
there for who, we're just, it's a different culture in Boston,
Right.
so So like just there's so much great, like Matt and Susie, what they're
Right.
doing here today, it's amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's just so cool.
people
It's a great
don't
event.
know about all this good stuff happening and going on, and they're all over the country too, like going to Ohio for the camps and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
And Susie, like Matt's wife, is on the board of directors. You said she helps you with the magazine.
Susie's on our board.
That's
She's
fantastic.
actually here today doing our next cover feature interview.
Oh,
We
that's
haven't
so
released
cool.
who it is yet. But
Oh,
he's
that's-
here too.
Oh, that's super exciting.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I have to go in a little bit. I'll be right back. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Awesome. Well, Anne-Marie, this was like fantastic. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much
No, I
for coming on
appreciate
with
Thank you
us.
so much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you for talking about your magazine.
Thanks so much.
I
And
really appreciate
followed
it.
you guys on my on my Instagram page.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
that.
encourage everyone. It's So New England.
So New England
So
Pod.
New
Yep.
England. So
Yep.
everyone follow them. Check out their podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Maybe
I
Thank
we
you
can
appreciate
get
so
them
it.
to
much.
Boston.
You are a wonderful guest, and I wish
Thank
you nothing
you.
but luck. I look
Thank
forward to
you.
working with you again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Wait.
I appreciate it.
All right, guys, welcome back to the So New England podcast. I am here with the Sausage Guys. I got David, I got Jet. Guys, welcome onto the podcast.
Well, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, I'm
Excited to
super
be
pumped.
here.
You guys are obviously a staple of the Boston community. Everyone has seen you guys everywhere. Everyone has, not weird, had your guys' sausage before. So it's good stuff. So, tell me how you guys got started. Where are you from? How did you end up making sausages? I want to hear it all.
Wow, it's a pretty wild story, man. I grew up in Foxborough.
Oh, okay.
Home of the Patriots. Like,
Yes,
you know,
love it.
It's my dad worked at the stadium when he
Okay.
was like 20 years old as an auxiliary cop. We have a picture of him in probably the early 70s on the field. And recently, about 5 years ago, he was still working at the stadium as an auxiliary cop at almost 80 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I feel like it goes way back with the Patriots, you know, so it's been awesome. So I went to college, Curry College, and I had a crazy idea to do boneless buffalo wings before they were a thing.
Ooh,
And I wanted to do them off a cart.
okay.
And it was like, you think I was asking like criminal, you know, contention. It was like insane. People going crazy. You can't do chicken off a cart. What are you
You're looking
doing?
at some boneless buff guys. Chicken wings right
I don't
here.
like
We're
to
all
work
about
for
it.
my food. It's too much work.
Love me some
Well, I
boneless.
got a real problem with boneless wings, but we won't
Okay.
use that right now. When I take my guys out to eat, there's no boneless wings on the friggin' table.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not eating off the bone. You can't sit with me.
I love it. I love it.
But so the thing that I came up with the cards of the boneless buffalo wings, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something new, right? I spent $6,000 on this cart, all this permitting. I was in the parking lot behind Sunnyside Liquors on Route 1.
Okay.
Next to the fire hydrant.
Okay.
The fire hydrant there and I have a very long history. And the first day was an absolute utter disaster, bust, like, oh my God, what have I done to myself? And everybody wanted sausages and hot dogs. And so the Patriots went out of town for 2 weeks. I went back to the place. The second week I had an operation. I made the steamer into a hot dog steamer. It was
Okay.
a fry later, but I made it a steamer.
Gotcha.
Okay? So I was doing hot dogs and chips, right? Another funny story. I just got out of college, right? I'm partying with the boys on the weekend.
Love it.
I go out there hungover as a bastard. I'm doing chips for like 50 cents. I'm doing dogs for like $2.75. All these odd, stupid numbers. I can't do math anyhow.
Can't do that.
I can't do math. Hideous in math, right? This older woman comes up, like my grandmother's, a gray hair woman comes up, right? She orders like 7 bags of chips, 8 Cokes, 5 hot dogs. I was like, somebody just shoot me. There's no way I'm coming up with this, right? I'm just throwing numbers at her. She just hands me whatever the hell she handed me. She was snickering, leaving, and I'm like, nah, I can't come out here like this anymore, man. So in that off week, I went to the people that made my grill, and they said, look, I need a griddle on there, man.
Yeah.
Just put, I don't care how you do it, just make a goddamn sausage grill. Because everybody's coming up saying to me, where are the sausages? Where are the sausages? And I'm like,
Right.
my head's going, can't teach old dogs new tricks.
Yeah.
Can't teach old, I mean, it was like bananas. So we put the griddle on there, and what I find comical now is that the griddle that we bought and got installed on the cart cooks 15 links at a time.
Damn.
15 links. That's nothing. We just fabricated and redid a grill. I cooked 210 sausages at a time.
There you go.
Full
Much
links.
better.
You know what I mean? So And we just kept grinding, and people were like, hey, sausage guy, what's up? Hey, what's sausage guy, what's up? And that's really where the name came from.
Right.
The Patriots fans sort of gave me my tag and my emblem and my calling card, and I just ran with it.
That's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And now you're everywhere. I mean, right? I mean, how many people, how many businesses are you working with? Who are you working with? Where do you have your cart? Do you have more than one cart now?
Oh, my God.
You've got how many? Christ.
I don't really even know the number. It's about 15.
17.
17, okay.
We've been very blessed. The whole New England community has embraced us immensely. Our mission to get to Fenway wasn't an easy one. It took me 3 years. I built that little spot. It was a real tedious thing. And I got out there the first day I was out there, man, and the other vendors were going friggin' crazy. They fucking were going nuts. I'm like, I just did my thing. I put my head down, kept to myself, did my business. And we've been blessed. We just really have been blessed. It's amazing. Now we're in retail. We're in about 400 stores, Stop and Shop, Hannaford's, hopefully Big Y soon. There's a couple other markets that are in the mix. We've aired on QVC. Nobody knows they sell dresses, but they sell sausages.
Get yourself a sundress and a sausage.
But we've done 12 airings on that. I followed up Martha Stewart one day. She was on set with me. That was really wild.
Yeah.
And the viewership went down. And so the numbers automatically go down. It was a very surreal experience. We plan to do it again next year. But I mean, you know if you're dead or alive the minute you walk off the set. Like they got the telemetry there, like, you're not gonna make this one. Like, okay, you're not coming back. I'm like, great. I got $20,000 worth of products sitting in the fucking warehouse. So it was a pretty wild space. But now we're in 10 stadium/entertainment complexes throughout New England.
Okay.
And that includes UConn football. We run the concessions inside the stadium to 250-yard line locations. We got about 30 people working there. We do UConn men's and women's basketball, which also is home to the Wolfpack, the New York Rangers farm team. Yeah. So we do all the events at what they call the Excel Center. Yeah. We also work with the Thunderbirds out at Mass Mutual in Springfield.
Yep, and that's how we met for the first time.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So you can find us at the Roussox, you can find us at the Pavilion, you can find us at the Tall Ship. Again, we've been blessed. I think just real hard work and Jet right here. Like we grind, man. We do things that people couldn't even imagine, and we love the grind. Yeah, we love the grind. I mean,
The funny part is, me and you have never planned to see each other. We just see each other.
That's so New England, man. That's why we call it the So New England podcast.
Podcast
That's
all
what
day.
happens. You just kind of start to meet people. Even you were saying when we started talking, you're like, oh, I'm from Foxborough, but I used to come down to the Matunic Oyster Bar. I used to come down and go to,
the Ocean Mist.
The Ocean Mist and all that. There you go.
My family, we love Matunic. We love Rhode Island so much. It's unbelievable. But I still like your jokes.
Yeah.
And their driving sucks.
Yeah, they do. We are the worst drivers.
I know. I was saying that for like the last 5 years, and then it came out. Worst drivers in the country.
Right, and honestly, we're starting to compete with Massachusetts with traffic too, because so many people during COVID migrated up here to Rhode Island.
Right,
and it's
right.
just like we
brutal.
took a huge
And then
hit.
the 195 disaster,
Yep.
But
You got-
we love to hate it, hate to love it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we live in an amazing place, amazing communities.
We do.
And we're gruff and we're rough and tumble, but man, we love each other and we just make it happen.
That's true.
Honestly, like we usually have like a few questions, but you almost like answered them all for us.
Yeah.
He's good at talking
Yeah,
like that.
you gave us a great story. You talked about the people. You talked about the traffic. I mean, you kind of got it all down. The only thing we really got to ask is, can I get a Boston accent out of you? Your best Boston accent.
Oh, God.
Let's hear it.
What do I say?
Let's hear yours, Jet.
What do you want?
Park your car in the Harvard Yard.
Yeah, go fucking park your car for me.
Go
Yeah.
park the fucking car.
There you go. Perfect.
What the fuck you doing here?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Now he sounds like you're outside of Fenway. I love that.
Sausage is here.
That's how he yells after 2 a.m.
Yeah. So where would be the best place for people to find you if they wanted to get a hold of your sausage? Jizz.
Well, there's a thing we can share now that I almost slipped my mind. I'd love to share it if you indulge me. The 99 restaurants just brought our sausages to the menu. It's
Oh,
been
wow.
restaurant
That's
for 20
huge.
years.
Congratulations.
They call it the football frenzy and the sideline sausage. And it's the sausage sausages. And so right out of the gate, you can go there. But you can look for us on Instagram and find us anywhere in New England.
That's so cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for jumping on this.
Yeah,
show.
thanks for
I
having
really
us.
appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate your time,
Take
guys.
care. All right, folks, that is going to complete episode 16 of the So New England podcast. Recording live here at the Matt Light Foundation, celebrating 20 years of his amazing charity event. You guys, we had an awesome time with so many unique, different guests, a wide variety of people, and I hope that you enjoyed. Remember, folks, life's better in New England.